go.
Lots of sleep. All right. Yeah. Way to start it off. Just want to say, this is an exciting time for the organization. To have the number one pick is a big thing. But I do think it's about the whole weekend. It's about, all the picks throughout this draft. It's about the college free agency. This is just a great time for our team to get better. But it is fun to have the number one pick. Obviously on TV a lot. There's a lot of talk about it. But guys have done a ton of work on it, and we're prepared. I do want to thank, David and Nicole for all the resources they gave us, the spring. It took a lot to go out to all these pro days back to back to back. So, they really supported us, and, really thank them for that. Frank and I, they've given us the authority to make the decision. I just want to thank them for that. So, and with that, I do want to, acknowledge the scouts. A lot of times they get overlooked. They, they do all the work during the season. We're out, taking care of the team during the season. Free agency, these guys are on the road away from their family, so I appreciate them. Really appreciate Cole Spencer. We trust him to run the college side. He's done a great job for us, and really appreciate your work there. So with that, I'm excited for the weekend coming up. I think we're ready, and college scouts are in town. We're finishing up the board. We'll meet with the coaches this week, and then it's draft week. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
So do you know who you're going to take, or when did you settle on it if you did?
No, you know what? We're still going through the process. Obviously through this whole, since February, the combine and everything else, there's been some clarity. But we've made a conscious effort to keep an open mind about this, be continuous throughout the process. We have the last kind of group in today. We have the coaches, Wednesday and Thursday of this week, and at that point, we'll get together and kind of make that decision. But we've got some clarity through this process.
With that said, Scott, we saw yesterday that Bryce canceled his last visit.
Yeah.
Has there been communication to him that he's the pick?
No, there has not. And, that was a decision he made on his own, and I just refer you to, his reps and to Bryce as to why.
You guys took a big group to those pro days. Can you kind of walk us through how that decision-making process is going to go? Like, you guys taking a vote, yay or nay, whittling down? How is that going to work?
No, this is a collaborative process, and it's not just, Frank and myself making this decision. We want to involve Thomas Brown. We want to involve Josh. We want to involve, Parks Frazier and Jim Caldwell. We have a lot of great minds in this organization. And, we'd be remiss not to use those, all those voices. There's a lot of football knowledge. So we've included all of the coaches, all of our personnel staff, just to make the most informed decision.
Scott, you talked about, you definitely want to get a quarterback, and there's 4 guys you're looking at. Have you trimmed that number down from 4 at all? Or
no, again, that's part of that continuous process. We are consciously trying to keep all 4 in there so we can ask every question, look at it from every angle to make sure we're making the right decision. This is a big decision for the organization. We don't want to lock on to something early on just to decide that's our guy. We want to keep this process open all the way through.
Scott, how much has your perspective changed on each guy as you've gone from, say, the combine through the visits to
Yeah. I think we've learned a lot about him. We knew a lot about him on tape. We knew a lot about him through our scouts and through third-party sources. This spring, whether it's an all-star game or a combine or having dinner with them or having them in the building, you learn something new about a guy every time you sit with them. You want to see how consistent are they? How do they change? How do they evolve through the process? And there's a lot of good things to learn from this, and that's why we'll just take every opportunity we can to get to know these guys.
From a scouting perspective, when you guys are looking at a guy, we hear the term outlier a lot with scouting, just publicly. When you're scouting a guy who maybe has an unusual size or an unusual speed, height, balance, how much does that play into the way you evaluate a player?
Yeah, I mean, it's all a piece of the puzzle, right? It's not the end-all, be-all. It's just something you take into account with all the other attributes that the player has. But no, it's not one. It's not a disqualifier or anything like that.
Is it an added discussion though?
Yeah, I mean, we discuss everything about the player, so it's not just size, it's not just arm strength or accuracy. We talk about it all, but it's a small piece of the puzzle.
Scott,
Yeah.
when you make a move of that nature, a lot of times it's for somebody in particular. How different is it kind of having to maybe go through the process a little bit more in that fact and have more options on the table?
Well, we felt strongly about a group of guys up there, and we knew this is something we wanted to do. We wanted to be aggressive and go up and do this. And, you know, I think through this process, we made the right decision. I feel really good about going from 9 to 1. I'd hate to be at 9 right now trying to figure this out. So I know we made the right decision to go up there. We're going through the right process of being thorough, checking every box that we can, and the next step is going to be execution on draft day and giving these guys the resources they need beyond that to be successful. But when we made the move, we did, you know, feel strongly that there would be a guy there that we wanted.
Scott, and actually for all three of you guys, there's a lot that's been made, obviously, Bryce Young's height. And you just went through a season where, you know, you had a quarterback who struggled throwing it over the line of scrimmage and getting balls batted down.
Yeah.
Is that any reservation at all for you guys? And if not, why?
Well, I would say this. When Russell Wilson came out, I think he had 3 balls batted down his senior year. You know, Bryce had 2. So if you're talking just about Bryce, you know, this doesn't seem to be an issue. When you grow up, you know, a shorter quarterback, you learn how to, you know, evolve your game and adapt and see the field. And he's done that. Just like CJ's, you know, evolved his game. You know, Will's evolved his game. They all develop, and, you know, there's certain tools that they have, and they learn to play to their strength, and they've all done that.
Yeah, to me, it's a lot more. You know, it's not about so much the height. You know, you got to have those pocket instincts, your ability to slide, find passing lanes. So you got to look at other things like that, and then obviously how smart and how well a quarterback sees the field is also important. So, you know, you got to take more than the size into account.
Scott, in terms of, obviously this is a team collaboration, the scouts and Dan and Frank and everyone else, but at the end of the day, if there is a disagreement on one quarterback or the other, is it you have the final say, so you have the final pick?
No, I look at it as Frank and I will make that decision. I don't anticipate that at all. You know, I haven't yet asked him yet, but we were laughing the other day because it's becoming clear for us, you know, maybe a certain way that we want to go, or, you know, who it may be. But I don't anticipate it being an issue.
Scott,
Following up on the size, and I heard you all addressing the height. What about Bryce's weight? I mean, there's a lot of people that think he's going to play at 195. Is that a concern for durability and longevity?
Yeah, I think, you know, nutritionally we can do some things to educate him. You know, we get him in the weight room. You can see when you really look at his lower body has gotten bigger. You know, he's put on a lot of mass down there. A lot of times quarterbacks don't want to lift upper body because you get a little bit bound up. But there's some things he's going to naturally put on size as he ages as well. You know, again, going back to Russ, I think he came out at, you know, 200, maybe he might have been 206 pounds. He's at 220 now. I mean, guys just grow. That's something he can control, and that's something we can help him with. We can't control the height.
Scott, can you talk about the impact that Josh McCown has had throughout this process and some of the insight he's been able to provide?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's played the position. He sees it through the lens of a quarterback, just like Frank has. And you know, he's a really smart guy. He understands every aspect of that position, how to, you know, just basically how to prepare for games, how to study, and he'll have that impact on whichever quarterback it may be. Frank can have that impact. You know, Thomas Brown, even though he didn't play the position, he can help them understand the offense. There's this whole entire staff is unique because it's all geared to like help a quarterback evolve and develop.
What did you learn about Bryce that you didn't know about going into this process?
Really just how genuine he is. You know, you see it from outside and just how much he loves ball. The guy's got a lot of fire inside, even though he's on the outside, he looks like he's right here. He's a fiery competitor, and that's what you love about him.
Scott, you obviously trade up to the first overall pick to grab a quarterback. You sign Andy Dalton. You have a new coaching staff who didn't draft Matt Corral. I'm just curious, what's the message to him as all this is going on?
He's come in. He's ready to compete. He's 220 pounds. Looks like a different guy when he showed up. He's in great shape, great spirits. You know, I haven't talked to him directly about anything that's going on right now. I did talk to his agent. his agent relayed, he's ready. He's ready to compete and come in here. There's nothing promised to anyone. You get what you earn.
Scott, in your career, how much have you relied on, or how much of the staffs you've been on relied on tests like the S2 tests? What can you glean from that?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to quarterback.
Well, obviously we use it so we believe in it, but it's a tool. Just like there's a lot of different tools that we look at. Analytics, everything else. It all comes back to the tape is the most important thing that we do. What we watch and we evaluate, and what Cole watches and what Dan watches. S2 is just another tool that we use. It is something we believe in, though.
Cole,
This
in
question is
terms
for
of
each of you.
scouting these, how do you wait until they're eligible before you really start doing in-depth scouting, or were you doing some of that last year with Bryce and CJ, like when Bryce was winning the Heisman Trophy and all that when he still wasn't eligible? How far back do you go to start doing in-depth scouting?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they're in the lineup as a starter, we start evaluating them. We've seen these guys multiple times throughout these past few years, whether it's practice exposure, going into the school, talking to the staffs at the school, strength staff, coaches, trainers, and then see them at the live game exposure, and then through the combine and the pro day process. So, we've seen these guys a lot throughout their careers.
For all three of you, can you go back through the process, a moment kind of behind the scenes thing that sort of jumped out to you? And each of you probably have a kind of a memory through the visits and the pro days, and with the quarterback specifically.
With all the quarterbacks, I think it's just really nice, like going through the process. You have an idea. You think you have an idea of what these guys are like. You know what they are as football players, but then to actually sit with them and talk to them and get to know them, get to know about their families, the way they grew up. I think that's pretty cool. Just kind of getting to know these guys on an individual level, on a personal level. So, I think for us that's the biggest thing going through this process is, just kind of getting to know these guys, digging down deep into who they are as people, and I think that's the main thing going on the road.
Was there one little moment with each one of them that points out that sort of jumps off the plate that you go back and say that was pretty cool?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any one moment. I think we just try to spend as much time with these guys as possible, get to know them, and it helps us make the best decision as an organization.
Scott, I wanted to ask you first, and then Dan and Cole as well. Bringing a dozen guys on the road for a week and a half. I mean, we talked about it in Tuscaloosa. Like, how fun was that? How unique was that?
Well, I think it's really important in the bonding of our staff. It's a new staff, and they all came from different areas. And not only were we out there trying to find a quarterback, we had the downtime to sit there and spend with each other. And, getting to know Frank away from the building, getting to know Josh and Jim Caldwell away from the building is awesome. It's a great experience. It's one that, I think moving forward, if we have that ability to do it, I think there's a really positive aspect to going on the road together and just spending time away from the facility, getting to know them as people. How do you think? Talking ball, talking family, all those things are really important.
Could you follow up on the question about the S2 and how we've seen that really grow in popularity, and specifically how it helps evaluate quarterbacks?
It helps as a comparative tool, but like everything else, it's just a piece of the puzzle. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's just another piece of information for us to look at and kind of compare guys and see where their strong and weak points are.
Is it more beneficial in terms of quarterbacks than the Wonderlic?
I think there's some correlation with certain positions more than others.
Scott, you mentioned clarity about the number one pick. Compared to years past, have you spent more time or less time on the first pick compared to all the other stuff throughout the weekend because of the benefit I have in the number one pick?
Well, that's a really good question because I think you want to have some balance. Obviously, it's a huge decision for the organization. So, the evaluation portion of it, a lot of that was done prior to this. We've gone back just to rewatch, refresh. But I think the more time than any other position or any other pick has been about the number one pick. How do we break down the person? We spend more time sitting with them, trying to get to understand them. Is this the person that can lead our franchise? Is he the one that really the kind of validates why we went up to 1. Is he the one that's going to make the difference? And it's not like we're expecting this quarterback to come in and instantly just like make everything happen. Everything changes immediately. I mean, you've seen it with like Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. It takes time, and you have to surround them with the right people, and you have to surround them with the right coaching. But I think we've done that, and we're not going to force this quarterback on the field. We're not going to ask them to do anything they can't do. We're going to ask them just to play their game and deliver the ball and make the right reads and make the right decisions. And that's so for that reason, we have spent time doing that on that number 1 spot.
This is obviously an exciting time for the franchise and fans as well. You talked about coming up with the draft board. I'm curious for each of you guys, what does the next week look like for you all, schedule-wise?
So the scouts just came back in town the other day. We're just reviewing the board, going back through our spring process, who tested well, who didn't. We gather more information on these guys after the combine as well. So we're just going position by position and going through those guys. We're meeting with the coaches later this week and getting their input. But all the work has basically been done. There'll be some minor tweaks to the draft board at this point. Right now we're about 170 guys. We whittled that down from, we probably wrote up over 1,300 guys this fall. So so we're down to 170, and we're just tweaking the draft board and just tightening everything up and getting ready to go for the draft. But I feel prepared. Our process has been a good one. I'm ready to go.
You've got 5 other picks besides this number 1. I mean,
Yeah.
what other areas do you feel like need to be addressed position-wise?
Yeah, I think you always need a pass rusher. I mean, we could beef up the offensive line. We've done a lot of things at receiver, but you can always add a receiver. Linebacker. I mean, no team's ever complete, and you can always add whoever. But we're gonna the whole part of like free agency is for us. This is our philosophy and has been, is to go into the draft to be able to pick the best player available, and so we've done that. When it comes down to best player available, and there's 2 guys at certain positions, and one position is a need. Say it's a linebacker, then the need is a linebacker. So. Going into it, we're aware of where our weaknesses are, and we'd like to address that, but we're not going to force it.
You're 9 weeks out. I'm sorry, not 9 weeks. 9 days out from the draft. So everybody's looking for Easter eggs, trying to figure out what's going on, who you guys are going to pick. So I have to ask, the Levis and Stroud visits, were those scheduled before today's presser was scheduled?
Yeah, they've been scheduled for a while, and it wouldn't have changed anything. Like, we're going through the whole process, and we're sticking to it, and we're not going to jump the gun, make any decisions. We need every piece of information we can to make the most informed decision. So we're going to go through it, and it's not done. It won't be done until later this week.
This is for you, but also for starting with Scott, but also for any of you who would like to take this. You mentioned gaining clarity in this process.
Yeah.
What has become more clear having gone through this process?
It just reaffirms what you know about guys, learning new things. The one thing you don't know is how they study, how they learn, how they retain. You can test them, see how they process. You can just really you can feel the presence when they walk in the room. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're trying to understand. Who is this guy? Who is this guy that's going to, possibly be the quarterback that leads our team? That's what we're trying to discover right now.
So hang on, we got Joe. You have one? Joe,
Yeah.
Scott, Mike,
Yeah.
David.
To add on to that,
Last 5.
yeah, I would say that we go to these games and we see these players as players, right? But we don't get to know them as people. So going through this process, we get to know them as people and just kind of dig down into their core and kind of get to know who they are.
And we heard Scott talk about that process with Russell. You were out there, obviously. Reading back at some of the stuff, and you guys talked a lot about, or John did, about his long arms and big hands.
Yep.
What through that whole process with Russell will inform you guys at all on this decision with Bryce?
I think the big thing that I learned from John through that, and I think Fit would echo this, is he had conviction on Russell. So if we have conviction on a guy that we really like, no matter how big or short he is, that's not going to matter. As long as we're convicted on that guy and we feel like he's our guy, then we'll go with it.
Yeah, I'd say, really, Dan's right. It's about conviction. It's about feel. It's about also compensating factors. You know, how do guys compensate their game? You know, how does CJ compensate his game? How does Will, you know, how's Bryce? How do those guys change, and how does it fit what you're going to ask them to do? How does it fit your offense? How does it fit Frank's offense and Thomas's offense? And that's what we're trying to figure out, who's the best guy to run that offense.
Scott, have you made your big trade for this draft period, or is the number 1 pick still a possibility to be traded?
Yeah, you know, as of right now, I don't see us trading the pick. We'll always pick up the phone. But I think we're in a position where we like where we're at. We're convicted. But just philosophically, we'll always pick up the phone and listen. But it's got to make sense.
Cole and Dan, as you guys rebuild this defensive front, what have you guys learned about this class from a front seven perspective, defensive line and linebacker, like overall?
Yeah, I think D-line linebacker, I think there's some guys that we like and that we have a lot of interest in terms of fitting in our style of defense that we're going to play. You know, I know we want smart, tough, instinctive players, guys with height and length, and guys that can run. So I feel like there's some good fits from a D-tackle, D-end perspective. And then linebacker-wise, you know, there's some guys there that we like as well. So we're excited about this class.
Yeah, we're just scouting different body types for the different scheme. Not too much changes for us. It's just, you know, we weight certain attributes differently than we did with the previous scheme.
Yeah.
Scott, you mentioned in a couple of press conferences, you haven't asked Frank who his pick is. How much is that because you guys were kind of on the same page when you went into this process, and that really hasn't changed?
You know, that's a really good question. I think, you know, we kind of saw guys the same way. But the reason I didn't want to ask him a question is I didn't want to like close off our minds to where we're going, like make that decision back in March. And you know, I asked him like just jokingly, I think it was late last week. We're sitting in his office. I said, I still haven't asked you yet, but you know, I think we do see things the same way. We value the same things in quarterbacks, the same traits, the same characteristics. There's certain things that we really want, and that's where the clarity comes from.
Gentlemen, this is for any one of you. Is there any one of those top 30 visits that really stuck out to you in these last few weeks?
I don't know. You know, we had a couple receivers in last week. I don't know if I want to say names just because names get out. There was a receiver that we had in last week that was really kind of cool to get to know him. You know, strong character, just a cool guy, and he's one guy that stood out for me.
Last one from Will.
Kind of for all of you, but Cole, when you talked to your team when they traded up to number 1, what was that conversation like, and how much did your lives kind of change in a blink of an eye a little bit, and just kind of all got kicked into high gear?
I mean, the job is still the same, right? We have to evaluate all these guys. The excitement is definitely there. You know, last year we had the opportunity the top tackle on the board fell to us, so we were fired up about that. And then now we have the opportunity to take the top quarterback on our board. So, you know, I'm fired up. I'm really excited about this opportunity, but the job doesn't change. We still got to evaluate all these guys, still got to make the rest of our picks. There's definite excitement for all the scouts, but we still have to execute and do our jobs.
Thank y'all very much.
Maybe we should just ask Dan.
He doesn't. He never. He's biting his tongue right now not to tell you.
Yeah.